candidates at Battle Creek. You know,
welcome to Shit Creek. Here's Donald Trump.
We should have really known that there was going to be a battle at Battle Creek when it was named that way. But yeah, I sent away for prizes from Corn Pops cereal to Battle Creek, Michigan. I got a bunch of toys from. Yeah, it was a thing.
And do you think you would go, Fern, we are, as Canadians, we are quite sort of wanky, try new trends, look after ourselves. We have periods of being on the road, getting pissed, followed by periods of taking care of ourselves. I think it might be at least 2 of us here, statistically, would be sucked into going to the Kellogg Sand retreat, don't you think?
I would absolutely go on a retreat like that.
Alison, would you go to the San Ann
Oh, I
retreat?
definitely would go because it was offering a solution about.
This is America. Our fires burn bright, especially in the trash barrels that keep people warm. We're after a riot because there's no jobs. America is hurting. We're at each other's throats, wondering if this country can ever come back from the abyss.
Not like one of the machines brought into the White House, which was pretty
That's right. On the Titanic, there were Kellogg machines on the Titanic in the luxury spa section.
Just making cornflakes and stuff.
Oh no, they're the health machines. Come to the cornflake machine. Wow, they really are toasty. He was big on water treatments, and we know he was obsessed with colon treatments. He believed we should open our bowels 3 times a day, and this was based on observing gorillas pooing 5 times a day and seeing how happy they were. And so he thought it was reasonable that humans should poo 3 times a day. He was obsessed with his poo. He believed his poo didn't smell, that it smelled of, I quote, warm biscuits, and he would invite people in to smell the evidence of how amazing his poo was. His poor brother had to inspect nearly every bowel movement he had. His brother was often seen running alongside John Harvey's bike as John Harvey gave notes to his brother, and then stop in the toilet. The brother would have to go, 1 biscuit.
Have you stopped by the casino store and seen the latest fashion? Or do you Life is ephemeral.
3 times a day?
That's some North Korean leadership where you're just like, yeah, my poo doesn't smell. Everyone else poo smells, but my poo smells like freedom, and everyone else's poo smells like South Korean aggression, but my poo smells like world peace and uniforms and stuff.
I mean, this persists today, though, doesn't it, Fern? I mean, it's not like, oh, how do you remember colonic irrigation? They've gone out of fashion. I mean, they're as popular as they ever were.
Colonic irrigation's a terrible point, but he is right about modelling yourself on a gorilla, because that's how I try and live. That's also why I'm vegetarian. I'm vegetarian and I love lifting weight, and gorillas are really strong and muscly. They don't eat meat.
Okay, the networks are down, the equipment is ready, and we've crippled their supplies. Mrs. Rackman has written our check and given us the green light. We're good to finally move on that submarine and stop this threat once and for all. When you're ready, get your crew together and head back to planning.
What happened was they were trying to develop this cereal. They wanted to make a wheat product that would be easy to digest. They tried loads of things, boiling it, rolling it out. Eventually they put it through the rollers and made small flakes, which they then baked, and that resulted in the first flake cereal, which the Kellogg's actually called Granose. That sounds gross. Will has been credited with creating cornflakes. They first marketed their wheat flake cereals to the Sanitas Food Company, which sounds like it makes sanitary products, which they ran together. Will then left and set up the Battle Creek Toasted Cornflake Company in 1906. John then changed the name of his company to Kellogg Company. Will then called his own company the Kellogg Toasted Cornflake Company. Will then sued John to prevent him from using the Kellogg name and won the case. So ultimately it's Will who ran the company that sells the cornflakes we all know. Anyway, I think we should move on to envelope number 2, whoever has it.
Here we go. I just got it. The sin of self-pollution is one of the vilest, the basest, and the most degrading that a human being can commit.
Yeah, so this is a change in tone now. Those were John Harvey Kellogg's thoughts on masturbation. He went on to say, "It is worse than beastly," this is the Anthony Hopkins voice, Those who commit it place themselves far below the meanest brute that breathes, the most loathsome reptile, rolling in the slush and slime of its stagnant pool, would not demean itself thus. This was his view on wanking. The guy was obsessed with it. He thought it was evil, caused illness, and he had lots of sadistic methods for controlling it. Some of them torture, as well as tying the hands of little boys, which of course would do nothing to prevent it. To prevent masturbation. Carbolic acid on the clitoris, ladies. That's probably part of the Irish syllabus, isn't it? A Catholic syllabus.
we call wanking interfering with yourself, which I think is a beautiful turn of phrase.
Interfering with yourself? That's what it's called?
I have to, well, you know what happened to me? I was watching Bridgerton with my my blind stepdad, and there was a lot of music going on, and he said to me, "What's going on now?" And I had to say, "There's a woman, and she's interfering with herself," which really ruined Christmas for us all. He never asked again.
Is he blind from interfering with himself?
I'd say, yeah, that and cat.
Oh my God!
He didn't listen to Kellogg's, did he?
So, you know, there's a book that he did called, like, Plain Facts for, I can't remember it's like Plain Facts for Old and Young. And I have the book because, like, it is crazy. It was crazy popular in America for a while. And it was one of those things that got circulated. And, like, there are, like, 24 chapters on, like, why you shouldn't masturbate. And there's one, like, and one of the chapters is called, like, Testimonial from a French Doctor. And it's, like, literally and one of those sentences is, nothing costs the economy as much as the production of semen. Like that, like, it's this whole thing that, like, if you masturbate, it's bad for the economy. And there's, like, a complicated... He really...
Phil Clinton knows all about that. Phil Clinton knows all about that.
Isn't, like, Jordan Peterson into that now? Isn't that what we're telling men nowadays?
What?
Is to stop wanking.
Jordan Peterson says that, really?
How come he was looking up to gorillas for how good they poo, but if you've seen any YouTube videos of gorillas, they love an old tug.
Are they?
Yeah.
All right. But I mean, it's gone the other way now, hasn't it? Everyone's like, it's so healthy to masturbate. Men, they're trying to say that men who masturbate have a lower risk of prostate cancer, which makes me immortal.
I'm not a pervert. I'm just really worried about my health.
I'm just really into my health. You're in Asda. Put it away. But Fern, what do you think of this? About this idea that self-pleasuring could? I mean, he was so on with some of the health things. It was actually the expulsion of liquid, of moistness that could cause the damage. So this was equally bad for men and women. He just did not want you masturbating. It's just crackpot nonsense, isn't it?
There's been similar beliefs in like ancient China, I think, because they also believed that it was letting the man's energy go away. And I think Kellogg he had a bad start with wanking because he described feeling exhausted after it and how bad it was, so he maybe just was going a bit too far.
Or fast. Slow down, there's smoke coming off it, John.
Man, I should not have used carbolic acid for food.
And he also didn't Kellogg grow up with, he had like 11 or 10 siblings, so if you're all in one room or in a small space in the olden days, and you've got a lot of brothers, you might end up just being against it.
Yeah, it'd be like sleeping in a steam room or something. Just smash the air.
Sucks to be the one of the siblings of Kellogg who's like, all right, Will, you smell my poo, you smell my piss, and you smell my semen. That's
so everyone smell my farts, but no wanking. It's like, how am I going to be a teenage boy? So Alison, so we know that carbolic acid on the vag for girls. What do you think, apart from tying the hands, is proposed for boys? Can you guess?
What else could he have done? I think I do know this. Is this the circumcision?
Circumcision without anaesthetic, so that there was a nice memory of the pain to help really stop you wanking, and also electric shock by inserting an electrode down the urethra.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds sore.
It's an electrode down the wee-wee hole.
Oh, no! How can you really get something that small up there?
I don't want to know, Alison, but that's what he did.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
In his own circumcision, though, so he was, true to his words.
Genuinely though, nowadays he is a modern pioneer. People would pay for that. Like, I know a few guys with like an electrode down the wee hole. Like, and they pay top dollar for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you could get your ones that you power with your own pedals, so it's so friendly. Alex, so America loves a bit of circumcision. He and John Harvey was part of a big trend that saw circumcision as part of a therapeutic and morally important cure. It was for health and hygiene reasons, and in the US that persists to this very day. 75% of men in America are circumcised.
That low?
And masturbation was seen as a cause of reflex disease through the medium of the foreskin, so that had to come off.
I prefer my people's reason for getting rid of the foreskin is that God demanded it of a 99-year-old man. That's the reason. That's the reason we cut our. That's the reason That's the reason we cut our penises, not any
so
crazy
unfair.
health bad.
There's nothing for a 99-year-old, but the amount of excess to be removed, you wouldn't even notice. And just take off the top 90%, it still leaves everything. I mean, this is some legacy, isn't it? I mean, I do suspect in 100 years' time, I don't want to. I mean, right now, female genital mutilation has gone on for ages, and now it's like the most despicable thing we can think of and outlawed. No one should do it. I think we'll get there with male genital mutilation in a few generations. I do. I think people will look back and go, we cut bits off our dick because God said or Kellogg said. That is weird.
I feel bad, but I don't get the fuss. Like, I really hate saying that because a really good friend of ours, Tom Rosenthal, did a show about circumcision and how bad it was. And people keep telling me it's really horrible. And I kind of, I genuinely don't see, like Russell, I'm not sure I agree with you because, like, people said the same thing in the Middle Ages about circumcision. They're like, oh, it's so weird and it's going to be gone in a bunch of years. But, like, I don't know, I've got no complaints. It sounds, but, I've been only known one way.
You've got to agree Kellogg's reasons for doing it are bogus. I mean, if you believe in God and you think it's an instruction from God, and there's no one, especially anyone like me, who can tell you not to have faith in your God and your cult, that's fair enough. But to do it for these bizarre reasons,
there's no good reason, Russell.
No.
There's no good reason. Like, for the reason I do it is because I want my dick to look exactly like my dad's. Like, that's, you
do a picture online, twinnies. Twin dicks, me and Dad. Okay, so what do you think of this, Fern? Some of the effects of masturbation. Do you suffer from any of these? Lassitude, sleeplessness, untrustworthiness, failure of mental capacity. Here come some of my favourites. Weak backs, round shoulders, paralysis of the lower extremities, acne, hysteria, epilepsy, and definitely my favourite, eating clay. If you wank too much, you will eat clay. That's the only one I've got. I feel like you've had clay jelly in China or something.
Where do the cornflakes come into all this? Because didn't you make that?
Well, because the brand, the bowel movement of the brand, and the fibre and everything like that, getting you more regular. The fact it was low fat, it was animal product free.
Didn't he also make the cornflakes with no sugar and make it taste as bland as possible to stop you from masturbating? I think, like, that was one of the reasons, genuinely. That was one of the reasons. See, I've never eaten something that good that I'm just like,
no.
Wow.
And also, and the first name he gave them, Wanky Flakes, was Alison, they should bottle your laugh. It lifts me up. It really does.
Oh, she gets that a lot on the podcast, She's a lovely laugh.
Alex, he claimed the masturbation caused consumption, piles, general weakness, heart disease, cancer and sterility, and this one, ready? Turns boys into dwarfs. This is a man we were just holding up as a genius. Yes, okay, drink water, vitamin D, blah, blah, blah. But he claimed you could wank yourself into dwarfism. He actually, which would make Snow White covered in jizz 24/7. But
It does cause piles if you have a luxury wank and stick something up your ass.
Hold on a second, Alex.
What's a luxury wank?
Yes, thank you.
It's like a Marks and Spencer's ad. This is not just any type of wank. This is a luxury.
Is that when you put something up your bottom at the same time?
It's like the third one you do when you're running out of things to do.
Nice.
That's a luxury wank?
A luxury wank for me is like when the door is closed. You got peace of mind.
A luxury wank is when you use a cowshed product instead of just a generic.
So, very often with these people, we turn to their private life and they're sort of masturbating all the time and they are pervy. Not Kellogg. He's the real deal. He was celibate even in his marriage unless he was creating a child. So he just was not wanking, not shagging. This is part of an idea called the reflex neurosis theory of disease, which postulated that the sexual organs and the erotic sensations they produce were the cause of all human disease, sapping your vital energy. So it was just a classic way of trying to control people sexually. But to be fair to Kellogg, it's one of the few occasions I could find where he was as against male sexuality as he was female. I'll give him that. He's equal.
Didn't he make tiny little cages to stop children masturbating as well?
Yes, he made a dick box. He was the first ever dick box as well.
Wow.
Russ,
You doing this, huh? The product's in the back of the truck and ready to move. Get it to the buyer, and you're done.
Idea, and it's not just his that, your semen is literally your vitality. People used to think that, your semen was your, vigorousness. And so if you got rid of that, then you would grow less. So he's like, if a growing boy masturbates, then they'll be shorter because they're shooting a couple of potential inches out their dick.
No way.
Yeah.
That explains why my sock grew to a size 12.
Wow.
So I think we've got. I mean, I'm gonna go. There is some evil there, guys. Like acid on the genital, circumcision without.
Yeah, that's evil.
Things like that. We've got him on pretty evil. Some of it's just kooky. But I think if we move on to envelope 3, I really am going to make the vote difficult for you guys, because the cleverness for me is still slightly towering over the tortured genitals. But if we crack over envelope 3, I'm going to be glad I'm not part of the bunch. It hasn't.
It's me. Kellogg wrote that he wanted to create a new race of men and that the remedy for race degeneracy is race empathy.
Yeah, as eugenics again, I'm afraid, genius fans. We've seen him, Darwin this series, and one of my favourite ever episodes, Mary Stokes, who disowned her own son because he married someone with warts and wore glasses. And first, just by sneezing, you'd be out of the reading programme.
So wait, he was a eugenicist and he was into no wanking. Are we sure he could be into Proud Boys then? Because that seems like a very kind of Proud Boy thing.
Indeed, I mean, he actually founded the Race Betterment Foundation.
Oh, they do not sound good.
It had a conference in 1914, and it was based on the belief it improved the human race through selective breeding. It was initially funded by the Kellogg's cereal. And just to be clear, he had a proper sort of pedigree map idea where you would roll out the pedigree for your kids and work out who you're going to make them to create the best offspring. And it's not like the other eugenicists we encounter, which is always like your black people at the bottom, Jewish and Chinese people somewhere in the middle, and whites and green. He was slightly more confusing in that he fully embraced the black race and believed they should breed with each other to become brilliant at what they're brilliant at. So it was an even weirder, more messed up eugenicist idea.
And didn't he also fostered black children as well?
He fostered about 40 children, lots of different children, and he saw the different races as destined to fulfill different roles in the world, and we should realise what we're good at and breed accordingly. I mean, this is fucked up, isn't it, Alex?
I mean, it never works out for my people whenever anyone. I'm just saying, it's a Race Betterment Institute makes me reflexively look for an addict. So I genuinely think that it's, I mean, it's bad, but, you know, in terms of examining people's legacy, it's tough because they have these sincerely held beliefs based in science that is junk science. So you're like, is this an evil person or do they have bad intel that they've gone fully into? But I mean, either way, it's really bad.
He believed that the white civilization would die out within a few centuries and would be dominated by the yellow races of Asia. So it's nice to see some racism not directed at Jewish or black people for once. It's quite refreshing. I mean, this is paranoid, dangerous shit, isn't it?
Genetic diversity is good for everything. It's good in flowers, it's good in animals, and it's, like, better for people. Like, if Jews don't get some genetic diversity in there, none of my grandchildren will be able to eat a pizza without immediately exploding in lactose intolerance. So, I'm just like, how'd they not suss that shit out?
I mean, we do it with dogs, though. This is how he came to it. He saw what we did with dogs, and he thought, well, that will work with humans.
Yeah, I'm like the pug of the human world.
Why did you say you're a pug?
Yeah, pugs live any flat-faced dog lives a life of total wretchedness because they've been bred to be cute. And it reminds me of myself.
Well, he saw his vision of a new race as the ideal and purpose behind the sanitarium, which aimed to improve human beings through natural living. I mean, just one last observation, because we are out of time. I mean, do accept prenatal testing and termination for pregnant women. I mean, this is a raging debate at the moment. So some of this has won through, hasn't it? It's just that we haven't realised it's been normalised.
Although didn't Kellogg, didn't he sterilise 3,000 people against their will in the state of Michigan?
Now that I didn't know. That is a great. Now and again we get these little mic drop bombshell facts that we have missed. I mean, I refer people to the Muhammad Ali thing.
I'll believe that.
If people want to listen to the Muhammad Ali episode where Christian MacArthur Boyd broke the stage in half in the final minute of the show with his back, I will check that out. But that's fantastic if it's true. We've got it back to rights there. Alison, fantastic fact about this forced sterilisation. Serving with Kellogg on the State Board of Health, Vaughan and Kellogg were able to leverage the state legislators to pass compulsory sterilisation law in 1913.
Yes. I'm not celebrating the facts, I'm just celebrating
it's an elbow
right.
drop back. It's absolute. I love these little genius moments where one of the guests just go, "How do you like this shit up your butt?" I mean, that's where Kellogg would have stuck that fact.
Better than yogurt. Better than yogurt.
How do you like that with your yogurt? Okay, guys, we move to the most difficult part of the show, because I think in this particular occasion, the fact that we've not even gone into some of the stuff he invented. He invented the electric blanket. He was using sun lamps to get rid of seasonal affective disorder. Heated blanket, one of his. Vitamin D sun lamps, one of it. The guy was going 2, 3, 4 inventions a day, constant ideas. He was bang on about nutrition. We can debate vegetarianism, but certainly about healthy, organically reared produce. The genius towers. But he did want everybody to badge. So the time has come to vote. I'm going to come to Alex Edelman first for the vote for John Harvey Kellogg, evil or genius.
Look, you've got to separate the art from the artist. You've got to be able to separate the cornflakes from the man. And so it's tough because I want to say genius, but I just don't. I just can't see past the race betterment institute.
What about the forced sterilisation? By the way, I should have said that was for people who were deemed mentally defective. Forced sterilisation.
Yeah, I think I gotta go evil.
That's one evil from all the way over in LA. Fern Brady.
I'm gonna say, if you look at modern day celebrity dietitians like Dr. Hillary that goes on this morning, you just delay views on diets and health. So I think if Kellogg was alive today, he would have an agent advising him, keep your views on acid on the fanny to yourself. Just keep that quiet, be very careful what you tweet and Instagram, stick to the diet stuff. I respect that he had a question in mind that wasn't afraid to go places and try to go against the tide with vegetarianism. So I'm going to say he was a true scientist, and I've got a new jingle.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It puts Alison Spittle and the Bombshell with the casting vote just to update the Bombshell. So it was an act to authorise the sterilisation of mentally defective persons, and at least 3,800 people in the state were involuntarily sterilised, according to research conducted by Kate O'Connor, who's a PhD candidate in American culture at the University of Michigan. So, Alison, I didn't mean to do this to you, but you've got the casting vote here, and you've made it harder for yourself by pulling this out at the last minute. Because the genius truly is towering, the innovative, paradigm-shifting thinking, a lot of which still persists today. Kellogg's eaten by millions, hundreds of millions of people every day probably. But how are you going to go, evil or genius?
But this is the thing, right, Russell, is that, like, you know, he did have a lot of great inventions, like the electric blanket and the sad lamp and stuff. But he also did put yogurt up your arse. And I feel like he was just a man with too many ideas and no editing. And that was his issue. Like, if you think of all the other inventions he did that were shit. Also, didn't he fall out with his brother because his brother invented cornflakes and wanted to add sugar to it for mass consumption?
That's right, sis. So yeah. The cornflakes we eat are Will's Kellogg's. He treated his brother like shit, but his brother did win that battle.
Yeah, and I've eaten cornflakes with no added sugar, and it's shit. So I am going evil, right? This man did not add
like
sugar
that.
to his cereal. Evil.
Not the eugenics sterilisation, just the fact that he liked his cornflakes without sugar. Evil.
No, it's the tasteless little cornflakes on top of a shit sundae, right? Evil.
Well, what can I say? It's not unanimous, but 2-1. John Harvey Kellogg is evil. Thank you very much, Fern Brady, Alison Spittle, Alex Edelman. What a fantastic episode. We're in the 5th series. Do stay subscribed. We've got some fantastic episodes coming. Go back to the very beginning. Episode 1, Season 1. John Lennon, still getting trolled about that one. Do catch up. Go to BBC Sounds, hit subscribe. I always love hearing from you on my Twitter and things like that as well, so feel free to troll me telling me I've dissed your hero, because it gives me a thrill. It gives me such a thrill, I end up having to put an electrode down my urethra. See you again next time. Goodbye!
A new podcast series from BBC Radio 4.
In the first stage of a poltergeist haunting, the entity will confine itself to making noise as it's testing its victims.
The Battersea Poltergeist.
My name's Shirley Hitchens. I'm 15 years old. I live with my mum, dad, brother, gran, and Donald.
Subscribe to Battersea Poltergeist on BBC Sounds.
This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
Du masser af spænding i din hverdag med de bedste true crimes og små fibo. Lyt blandt andet eksklusivt til Brian Sandbergs nye bog.
Mit navn er Brian Sandberg. Min nye bog, Sandbergs Paradis, er min fortælling om, hvad der skete på en tur til Tenerife i 1999.
Lyt til Sandbergs Paradis og hundredvis af andre fascinerende true crimes og små fibo.
Kender du også det? Du skal filme og lukke, hvornår det er lige akkurat. Men da du er færdig, opdager du til din rædsel, at der ikke er mere toiletpapir. I mangel af billeder bruger du en vaskeklud, som ligger sin dag i din affaldsspand. Bare roligt, det er helt normalt. Endeligvis kan du både købe en ny klude og vaskemiddel hos normale varer, normal pris.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts. Here, this podcast contains swearing and adult content.
Genius. Hello, I'm Russell Kane. I'm off my tits, but only on caffeine. I can't sing, and I'm not a black woman. Other than that, me and today's subject virtually the same. I mean, I'm not American either, and I don't like jazz. Don't really like jazz. Yes, this is BBC Radio 4's Evil Genius, the place where we manage to whisk laughter into a bowl of drugs, war, oppression, and hate, and bake ourselves a cake of ruined reputations, whilst chuckling. The idea is simple, but awful. Take amazing people from history, people you might worship, then reveal things about them, dirty, awful things that toy with your mind like a teenage boy with a banjo string. Catch up on our Freddie Mercury episode, pioneering rock musician or selfish hedonist with no thought for others. Charlie Chaplin, friendly clown with a twirly stick or dirty old man with a twirly willy. Have a listen, decide for yourself. At the end of each episode, my panel of fierce, funny friends must, after having their minds stretched like an Essex face, they must vote one way or the other, evil or genius. And today, finally, we're going on holiday. Not Ibiza or the Maldives, but back in time on a broken, sad journey. Yay! It's one of the greatest jazz singers of all time. Now, I'd never heard of her, and I've read lots of jazz mags. Now, I'm only... Oh, sorry.
I was like, oh man, I gotta read some jazz mags.
I'm only joking. It is the awesome Billie Holiday. And my panel today, well, look, I've tried to jazz up your names a bit before I introduce you. I'm no longer Arcane, I'm the jazz photographer, Art Kane. So my panel today are Kima Bob McFerrin, awesome stand-up and funny all-round legend. Sophie Duker Ellington, that was easy, that one. Sophie Duker Ellington, a brilliant comedian who was there for our Lou Reed recording at Edinburgh. And Delise Chaponda, now that was trickier. I've gone with... Now, Deliso, you'll know if you've listened to Evil Genius, he floored us on Winston Churchill at Edinburgh. Very, very quick wit, surprising comments, and will also, he keeps saying, it's not now.
I know, I'm like just toying with the gods of irony.
So, now full disclosure, we struggle to come up with female subjects for Evil Genius. There's two possibilities here. Historically, women have been denied power to rise to greatness, so there's less evil women to choose from. Or we have to consider the possibility that women are less pervy and violent.
Better at hiding it. Better at hiding it.
Better at hiding the violence or the perv?
Well, I'm not talking about good perv here, Sophie, before you rush to claim it. We do need more evil, though. Kima and Sophie, can you bring any today?
I know some total bitches, so yeah, I'm pretty sure. You want us to bring some evil energy, some Cruella vibes, some all the villains I know are Disney.
I'm just going to talk like this for the entire podcast, and I hope that that's evil enough.
You could have done a...
Wow, that's a fun evil. I was going for a kind of, I'm already wearing your skin,
oh, yeah.
but your children are in a closet in my basement.
Oh, well, I like that. I'm just reading from Wikipedia page that was your character.
Cool.
This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
Vi gør straks klar til vigtig information og beder alle om at rette ryglænet op, spænde sikkerhedsbæltet og høre godt efter. Med Norwegian Reward kan du selv vælge en ny fordel for hver 8. flyvning, f.eks. gratis sædereservation, fast track eller ekstra bagage. Og du tjener selvfølgelig cash points fra første flyvning. Læs mere på norwegianreward.com.
BBC Sound. Music, radio, podcasts.
Warning, this episode contains strong language. Genius. Hello, this is BBC Radio 4's Evil Genius, the show that reminds you it's the 21st century and no one can have nice things or say anything nice, and everything that is nice is bad for you. Welcome. Every week, we take a hero, reveal surprising, often awful things about that hero, and then I get trolled, like Billy Goatgruff running an errand to Fairy Tale Town. The river of revisionist hate still flows at me for crimes against Elvis, but it's not my fault that hunk of burning love likes setting fire to school uniforms, a lot. Let's not even go there about the time we did a Christmas special and tried arguing Santa Claus was a menacing voyeur who scars children for life. Ho, ho, ho bag. Anyway, the game is simple. 3 funny people form my panel, and I play with their minds, using revelation and shock. At the end of that brain tennis, they must vote one way or the other about today's subject, evil or genius.
All right.
And today, may I say, is a literary star quite gay. No, don't be fussy, I mean gay as in happy. Indeed, this big star is a cat in a hattie. That's been a long week. I mean, of course, the man, the geezer, the Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss himself. And here to decide whether he's evil or genius, we have Josh Jones, comedian and host of the Dead Drama podcast. What's Dead Drama about, Josh?
It's just me slagging off dead people. It's not too...
Oh, right, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Every time someone dies, you like, that's another podcast.
Yeah, I literally just stand outside the morgue, like, oh, I'm gonna slag you off.
We've got Ola Labib. That's what a great surname. It sounds like the French name for the BBC. Ola Labib, host of the Akashta Lab podcast. And what's that about then?
So I unfortunately married an American last year, and we disagree on everything. So it's kind of a podcast about what the British think compared to what the Americans think. And everything.
It's just a shame that bleachy chicken's so tasty. And at the Ola Labib on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, and rejoining us on the show, your WAD, Joanne McNally, back again, but mainly she just wants to plug a dating profile. I think that's why you're back. Is that right, Joanne?
For the last time, so 3 times the charm.
Right, first things first, anyone a fan? Now I'm guessing, I didn't know you were married to an American, so maybe it'll be, you know, would have heard about those, but do you have children?
No, I don't know.
But I bet when you do, Dr. Seuss will be brought out. This is a massive part of, I mean, it's literary culture internationally, but obviously American culture. Are you familiar with Dr. Seuss, a fan?
I am, and I will not be allowing my kids, or will not be letting my kids read any of his books.
Ironically, Grinch-like behaviour. And anyone else a fan?
I knew the names, like Cattle and Matt and the Ham and all. Like, I recognise them.
That's Joanne's rewrite she wrote on Peppermint.
I never heard of this film.
You must have heard the Grinch. You must have heard of the Grinch.
Only the movie, which is Jim Carrey and Barry, what we had in Ireland. Just 2 white kids. To this day, I have no idea were they siblings, lovers, I don't know. And they just did very basic things on farm. Like, that's all we had on farm. And they aged with us, so we had them from 6 until 11 or 12, I think.
So you're still at the, what Dr. Seuss would have called the Dick and Jane phase, because he replaced these sort of slightly boring, instructive Dick and Jane tales, so I would say Dick and Jane.
We stay loyal to Dick and Jane, yeah.
Josh, you a fan?
Again, I've just seen the film, because I used to have a crush on Jim Carrey, so I used to love it.
Yeah,
he was one of my first crushes. Do you remember him playing the Riddler? In the green suit? In the spandex? Oh, sent shivers down my spine. It's gorgeous.
I've heard every crush from every comedian, and I've never ever heard Jim Carrey come out of anyone's mouth.
Yeah.
Go, Jim. Well, what's the most evil or genius thing you've ever done?
The most genius thing I've ever done, I started doing this in lockdown. I've been making lasagnas, but instead of using pasta sheets, I've been using potato waffles. It's insane.
I almost want to leave the Zoom call. My favourite lasagna hack I've seen is you can make them in a dishwasher. You can make boiled lasagna. Yeah.
My mother comes fish in the dishwasher every time. I'm a real psycho. I covers it. Well, she covers it in the bath. She puts it in the lunch bath. Puts it in the dishwasher and steams it perfectly. There you go. That's the most insane thing. Did she put herbs and stuff in the bag as well? She puts it in a Tupperware box.
Can I see the friend? Joanne, I will come to you for your most European thing in a minute, but I've just received the best note I've ever had in my history of sentence, which is move on from lasagna when you can, Russell. I think it's time. I don't think I actually want to know the most evil thing Joanne McNally's ever done.
I maybe I told you this one before, but when I was young, when you're 16, 17, and you're going and you drink in fields or whatever, and you need to rob alcohol out of your friend's drink cabinet real fast, like, and your only opportunity to make the mum goes to do the big shop, and she never had a routine, so I never knew where she was going to go. Anyway, she just got back from the Lords, and the Lords is like this place that's, it's big for Catholics.
Yeah, cricket, Catholics love cricket.
They Lords where you go in a wheelchair and you walk out.
Oh, sorry. I think it was cricket ground.
You know, we're like,
Irish cricket's massive.
Anyway, I need some vessel to pour my alcohol into.
Oh my God.
Virgin Mary bottle.
No.
Yeah.
You put vodka in your Virgin Mary Lord bottle.
I ordered that she's down to France to gas and filled it full of vodka, but
literally evil in the biblical sense. Congratulations. Okay, so let me tell you quickly about Dr. Seuss, or Theodore Geisel's amazing life. He was born on March the 2nd, 1904, in Springfield, Massachusetts, into a family with German heritage. Geisel attended Dartmouth College, graduated in 1925, but not before joining the Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, voted least likely to succeed, and nearly got expelled for drinking during the height of Prohibition. Lads! Part of Geisel's punishment for the drinking was to resign from all extracurricular activities, including forfeiting his work contributions to the college magazine, Dartmouth Jack-O-Lantern. He continued discreetly by signing off his contributions as Seuss. Guessing he would have pronounced it Seuss or something if he was German, but we all read it Seuss. He then went to Oxford University intending to get a doctorate in English, as you do, but failed, so he's not even a real doctor, fake ass. But he did meet fellow American Helen Palmer. They are addictive, aren't they, Oliver's American partners, who encouraged him to go into illustration instead of a teaching career. He moved back to the US with Helen, who became his first wife in 1927. That same year, he had his first nationally printed cartoon published, and with the $25 fee, he moved to New York. He secured a job in advertising, Flit, the bug spray that allowed the Geisels a comfortable life as they travelled around the world. That was his first hit. He began writing and drawing children's books because it was one of the few genres not forbidden by his ad contracts, although he did consider children's books. I think comedians do. It seems to be like if you haven't written a children's book by the time you hit Comedy 5 years, arguably even a comedian do. Anyone tempted you to try one?
I thought it was a came to write actual books. I think it's such an easy one to make.
So you do think it's a lower form of art? Because a lot of people, when they try them, realise guys will used to say 2 sentences in children's books the same as 2 chapters in an adult's book, the way it's so difficult to get the words right.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the James Joyce thing about Ulysses wasn't looking at your man who wrote Anna Barry instead, really down. I mean, there is a large difference, I would say.
I don't know what he was looking at. He tried to read that thing. There's a whole chapter about a roast kidney. And then someone called Molly masturbates for a chapter. When Molly was flicking her bean at the end of that, it was hardly worth the kidney bit of walking around Dublin with the bean flicking chapter.
Don't point the term flicking the bean, like what a legacy. That's his idea.
Josh, I'd love to read your children's book. Would you write one?
Oh yeah, but they always do it based on their life, and I don't know what. I could do it just a little gay boy running around Manchester, but I could do it about when I got my finger chopped off. I was trying to escape from primary school, and do you know the fences with the 3 sharp things? I climbed off and I fell off, but my finger stayed on. But they did put it back on. It's just they put it back on like facing the wrong way. It's kind of always looking to the left now.
Well, I like that. So your finger could be the character in the book that tells the story.
Oh yeah, that could be good.
But my name's Josh, this is my 2-faced finger.
They've always got to have, like, children's books have to have a moral story, so it's like, don't try and escape from school, you'll chop your finger off.
Yeah. And in Ireland, all the comments fight for a tax break, because we get an arts exemption in Ireland. You get huge tax breaks on stuff. So we're all finding out children's books over there, yeah?
That's probably why, isn't it? Jesus Christ. By the start of the American involvement in World War II, Geisel had published 4 children's books, but shifted his attention to political cartoons with a pro-war, anti-fascist stance. And he was even involved in some of the US's propaganda films. Geisel and Helen moved to California after the war, where he started writing children's books full-time. In 1956, he was awarded an honorary doctorate from Dartmouth, finally legitimising the doctorate name. His wife Helen, who had been plagued with health problems, was unable to have children of her own. She killed herself in 1967. Geisel then went on to marry Audrey Diamond 9 months later, who he was reported to be having an affair with when Helen was still alive. He died of cancer in 1991, or he would have called it Cancy-Wancy. What a life it was. Now, if you're listening to Evil Genius for the first time, Each of my panellists has with them an envelope which they open, and inside it is a surprising or confirmatory fact bomb which explodes shrapnel of information all over us and drives the debate forward. So which of my panel has envelope number 1?
Ooh, I do. Okay, so Dr. Seuss was one of the greatest children's storytellers and illustrators of all time. He published over 60 books which were translated into more than 20 languages and sold over 600 million copies by the time of his death. His books have been adapted into 11 television specials, 5 feature films, and musical and 4 television series.
Yeah, I mean, this is thrown around, but really the only other person who uses a label like that is J.K. Rowling, his natural heir. It's that massive that we're probably all too young. Had we been children in the 50s or 60s, this was the J.K. Rowling of the time. It's not just a successful children's author, it's a whole world-covering amount of success. You've got The Grinch, Cat in the Hat, Horton Hears a Who, Green Eggs and Ham, nearly got it, Joanne. The Lorax, it doesn't matter if you've read them, you've heard of them. That's how big an impact Seuss has had on children's literature. Children's reading and children's thinking are the rock-bottom base upon which this country will rise, or not rise. In these days of tension and confusion, books for children have a greater potential for good or evil than any other form of literature on earth. He transformed children's literature. Amazing. I mean, like I say, the equivalent thing is J.K. Rowling. Do you read her? Anyone?
I read all of J.K. Rowling's, all of her books, multiple times when I was younger, definitely.
And this is the point. I don't know whereabouts in the country did you grow up?
I grew up in Hampshire.
Hampshire. And so I don't know what your sort of background is socially, but I come from sort of council estate type background, and it was one of the few times I saw the kids from around my way start reading J.K. Rowling, and this is the effect this guy had on working class children in his generation. You've made unput-downable books for children. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up, actually living in a council estate would be an upgrade to where I used to live.
No, I'm talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. But no, it's interesting you say that because I'm from Sudan, and even in some of their schools, they even had Cat in the Hat. So it must have travelled far if it travelled to a village in the middle of northeast Africa. So it was huge.
He actually changed, Joanna, the way children were taught to read in America. The old way was, like the Dick and Jane books that we were making fun of, and maybe these are like the Irish ones you were saying, but they're a sort of look and say memory method. And when you try and do look and say with children, anyone who's tried to do homeschooling will know kids don't learn like that. It needs to be engaging. And literary rates were waning. But by creating books that children actually wanted to read that were fun, literary rates went up. I mean, this guy increased literacy.
You know, you're saying about the look and say, so when we're being taught Irish in school, which is called